What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Triple H podcast. Happy Hour Hoop Bracket Madness. Happy Hour Hoops guys are making a little March Madness bracket of our own because we know ball, or we like to think that we know ball, and it's the best time of the year.
I'm leading on Steve here. This is just my way to get Steve's
knows
picks.
ball.
I've been asking him all day. I've been asking him for like 3 days. He's like, "Oh, I can't say nothing." Well, here it is. You got to give me at least 70% of what you're thinking here, unless you're just going to take it.
Hey, it can't go worse than last year, guys. The Triple H bracket. Shout out St. Peter's. Shout out St. Peter's for beating Kentucky, busting our bracket first day. Very rarely have I ever had a bracket be busted in the first day. And St. Peter's, hold my beer. St. Peter's, a magical run, incredible run. But guys, the best part is we can't get worse. We can't get worse. Our champion lost in the first round. We get to the round of 32 with our champion this year. That's a success. That's a win in the Triple H book.
Mark Titus, I know on the other day on his show, said it was a legacy bracket for him, and I feel like I took that to heart, and that's the same for us this year. We have to come back strong because of that. That was tough. It was a tough game to watch too. It was a painful game. I wonder who it's going to be this year, though. This could be a lot of different choices to who we end up picking to cut down the nets here in March. So you want to get it cracking here? You guys want to get going? The South region. We're picking Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think for time purposes, if we all agree on a pick or a top, we should blow by.
Bama.
Maryland, West Virginia. I personally already have a wager on Maryland. I'd love to see how you feel about that, Steve.
I'm on West Virginia, but it's not like a strong one. This is really a coin flip for me. I just kind of trust West Virginia more, and kind of the way they play for the tournament just kind of bodes well better than the way Maryland plays. High pressure. They just make you uncomfortable. Maryland's a very inconsistent shooting, very cold. So I'm just going to go with West Virginia, kind of take their defense. And Maryland, the big thing with Maryland is I just haven't seen enough out of them this year. I've seen spurts of Maryland. I'm like, they look like a great team. And then I see spurts of Maryland. I'm like, they shouldn't even be sniffing the tournament. So I'm just going West Virginia. Also, too, and I'll say this, I feel like they've been overseeded, but the Big 12 was the best conference in college basketball this year. I really do think top to bottom it was, and maybe because there are only 10 teams in it, but top to bottom it was. And there goes a lot of saying with West Virginia playing just tough game after tough game after tough game after tough game. Those Big 12 teams, it feels like they got overseeded, but maybe they deserve it. And I'm just going to go with West Virginia. We'll let Dunny be the tiebreaker.
Well, but here's the thing, Dunny, before you jump in, the one thing I want to say about Maryland, that's the biggest question mark to me through this whole bracket, is that about the Big Ten. The fact that the Big Ten was such a war zone this year and all those teams were so close in conference play, besides Purdue, obviously. Are they good? Or was the Big Ten bad? We're going to find out on the first 2 days what the Big Ten was, and same with the Big 12 too. Dunny, I went ahead with West Virginia as a pick for you for the Fighting Joe Mazzulas, but I do want to hear your actual basketball pick too.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And I also, it's my other reasoning is also biased because former Minuteman Trey Mitchell now plays at West Virginia.
All right, we got to do it.
I'm just rolling with my guy.
Say less. We are sending the Mountaineers through. San Diego State, Charleston. Stevie and I already argued about this yesterday. That's on his stream. Stevie, I've turned around. I'm not married to Charleston here, except for the fact that I have family that lives in Charleston, South Carolina. So San Diego is my dream city, the most beautiful city in the world, and I would be happy to take them.
Yeah, I'll real quick, this is 20 seconds. I like San Diego State here. Experienced team, probably one of the deepest teams in the entire tournament. San Diego State plays a swarming type of defense where it's previous years San Diego State teams didn't really have the offense when they come when they can have to come back from 10, 15 down. San Diego State's done that multiple times this year, and part of it is because their defense is so good, but their offense is better than previous years. They don't really have one dominant player, but they have a deep rotation where a lot of guys can score, a lot of guys can shoot well. The biggest thing for Charleston, for me, Jake, and I was saying this with my friends, I just feel like they're fool's gold at 31-3. People are going to see the record. They're going to see the classic 5-12, and they're going to pick Charleston because the Mountain West usually chokes.
This BPI is tough.
But Charleston just has not passed the eye test for me. I've watched a decent amount of Charleston games this year. I know they beat your darlings, Kent State, but that was earlier in the year. Charleston just really hasn't passed the eye test for me. And in their conference tournament, which they should have kind of breezed through their conference tournament, did not look that great. Yes, they won it, but it didn't really look like, oh, this is a 30-plus win team that can make noise. Yeah. I think San Diego State's one of the better teams. I think they're kind of a little lower seeded than how their talent level is. So I'll go with San Diego State here.
So after my bias, go ahead, Dunny.
No, I was just gonna say that makes three of us. I'm on San Diego State as well, and I've been hearing murmurs that outside Alabama, that San Diego State, a lot of people think that they actually could be the one to come out of this region, if not Bama. Obviously, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get there, but I think it's probably going to be Bama by a landslide in this region. But don't sleep on San Diego State.
Ranked 14th in KenPom for a 5 seed. That's pretty good. And for this matchup, Charleston's 71st, one spot behind Kent State, even though they had the win over them, I will say. But that's why I was definitely more biased onto Charleston there. But San Diego State has the makings of, like you just said, Dunny. They look like one of those teams that can really make some noise here. That's going to be a great matchup if they get there in the Sweet 16. Let's keep going though. Let's keep cracking here. Virginia Furman. I will pick Furman in every single one of my brackets just because I'm a Virginia hater. But I'm willing to hear anything out here. So what do you guys think?
I'm with Furman. Furman, yes. I think, is one of the best offensive teams in the entire tournament. Furman shoots the ball really, really well. And
82 points per game.
How do you beat – well, not only that, they shoot the ball well, too. They score a lot because they play super fast, but they shoot the ball really well. They're really good at creating offense. They have two very experienced – I think they're both seniors. They're top two players who can score off the dribble, who can create their own shot, which is big when you're playing a team like Virginia that likes to slow it down to a snail's pace and dominate defensively. I like Furman here. Virginia's a little undersized too. And when you have a defensive team like that that's undersized, if Furman just starts off hot, like let's say Furman starts the game 5 of 6 from the floor, and next thing you know, they're up 14-4. That's tough for Virginia to come back. And Virginia's not really good in these big deficits. So I'm going to go Furman with the upset here. Although, like, it is Virginia's defense. And usually when you have this type of matchup with Virginia's defense going up against a fast-paced offense, Virginia usually dictates the pace. But I'm going to go Furman. I think Furman's really good offensively. I think they can actually make Virginia uncomfortable.
Yeah, I like Furman as well. And, yeah, you talked about Virginia's defense. That worries me a little bit. But for some reason, whenever I see a low seed in the tournament that has an experienced guard that can score – and you mentioned it, Steve. He is a senior. I assume you're one of the guys we're talking about is Mike Bothwell.
Yes.
He averages 18 a game. Like I think a guy having a low seeded team in the tournament that has a point guard or just a guard that's a scoring threat and has, he's been there for many years or he's has the experience. People talk about it all the time. It's a disadvantage when you have inexperienced guard play. They are the complete opposite. They have a scoring guard who has a lot of experience. I like them just for that reason alone. Those are the things I try to look for in lower seeds because especially if I usually don't know a lot about the team, I'll try to look at if they have any experience and especially in the guards, and they have that. And I'm also kind of with you, Jake. I kind of have a vendetta against Virginia.
Yeah, I've been out on Virginia forever. All right, so we're going with Furman. Creighton, NC State, guys. I have zero read on this game. I have no idea what to do with it.
NC State, I don't have a great read on NC State because they've been just
ACC was weird
inconsistent this year. Well, NC State has looked like a top 20 team at some points in the country this year, and then other times they've looked like they shouldn't even belong in the tournament. Creighton, I like Creighton a lot. They got two pretty good guards. Obviously, they have Kalkbrenner, who is, that defensive big man you need down there. I think he's 2-time defensive player of the year for the Big East. But either or, I like Creighton here. I think Creighton's got a good team. I think Creighton is just an overall better team than NC State. Creighton a little underseeded in my opinion. I know they got a lot of losses, but I think they're better than a 6 seed. They're better than a 12-loss team. NC State's just too inconsistent for me to trust them.
Give the boys Creighton.
All right, let's go with it. I'm down with the Blue Jays there. Are we taking the upset here? Are we taking the Gauchos?
No. And this is one where I've seen a lot of trendy upset picks are with the Gauchos, right? But here's the thing, and this is what I say about Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is built around some really good guard play. They play at a slow pace, but they hit a lot of open shots, and they have really good guard play. And that's Baylor. That is Baylor this year. That is exactly what Baylor does. Elite guard play, slow pace, but they make a lot of open shots. I think Baylor is just a better version of Santa Barbara. Like, they play the same style. And if you want to have an upset in March Madness, you want to make the higher seed you're playing uncomfortable. Santa Barbara is not going to make Baylor uncomfortable. They're playing right into their hand. I've seen it's a trendy pick. I love the Gauchos. Santa Barbara's been one of the best betting teams for me the past couple of years, but they just play Baylor's game. Baylor's just better, a better version of Santa Barbara.
I'm sold.
Yeah, me too. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Santa Barbara. I mean,
like
Baylor.
I just like the night. They are definitely are the trendy pick, and I like to avoid the trendy 14s, 13s, 12s as much as we can here. Utah State, though, I kind of love. I've picked them a lot against Mizzou. I don't know how you guys feel about that. That's where I'm leaning, though, for sure.
I took Utah State too, but I'm not in love with either side of this because I think
I don't like either of these teams.
I think both teams are good in their own way. But I'm just going to go Utah State here. I'm going to regret it because the Mountain West, all the teams are probably going to lose. I'm going to sound like an idiot. But I do like Utah State. They're a really good offensive team. They can pretty much score from anywhere on the floor. Missouri's another one of those teams where I've watched a little bit this year that they've had some great bright spots where it's like Missouri they can beat anybody. And then they have other games where it's like, how's this team a tournament team? Utah State's just been more consistent. I'll go with Utah State. But I'm not in love with it. If you like Missouri, I'm fine with that.
I like Utah State. No, I'm with you guys. I think I don't know. I'm with it. I have a crazy take for this next matchup, but I'm with.
Are you taking Princeton?
I have no reason to, and I think Arizona's good. But for some reason, every time I pull up the bracket like this and I look at it in this format and I look at that 2-15 matchup, something about me wants to advance Princeton here. But I don't think it's going to happen. But the way, I don't know if it's the way the aesthetics
I kind of like it. I feel like we should just do it and just ride Dunny's gut on this bracket. And then, because then what if it happens?
Steve is like, you're ruining this for all of us.
I might.
Let's strategize here, though. Let's strategize here.
I'll lay up to 40 points with Arizona in this. I'll lay up to 40 points. Princeton doesn't. They don't have nearly the size in the paint to deal with.
It's gonna be.
Arizona
I was watching Princeton and who did they play? They played Yale, right? They played Yale the other day in the Ivy League. I was watching the Ivy League final, and I was like, next to on my screen with Alabama A&M, and I was like, this is not the same sport. This is not. This can't be the same sport.
It's not. I get it. It's fun. Ivy school. We always love rooting for the Ivy schools. I think it's just a terrible matchup. Like Arizona, if Arizona wants to be uncomfortable, if you want to make Arizona uncomfortable, do what happened last year when they had a better team, when Arizona had to go through TCU. That was this physical defensive team, dominant the glass. And then Houston, who beat Arizona because same thing, physical, slow-paced defensive team, dominate the glass. Princeton, no. They can't dominate the glass. No, they're not physical. They're not slow pace. I think Arizona's just going to turn this into a track meet and run them out of the gym.
All right, so we have our second round here. I think we both we agree Alabama and San Diego State to get us to the Sweet 16, right? I think that's where we're at here.
Yeah.
Creighton,
like West Virginia's style. They just don't have the talent to, I think, really make Alabama uncomfortable.
Creighton and Baylor. I've liked Creighton in spurts, and they are one of the 10 teams that have that magic formula that everybody talks about every year. They are one of those teams listed that could make a run compared to their top 40 defense and offense. So how do you feel about them against Baylor here?
I kind of like Creighton. I have them in my bracket over Baylor, but I'm not tied to either side of this here. Baylor, the big
I'm
thing
definitely
about
leaning
Baylor
Creighton.
is people think of Baylor, especially ones who don't watch college basketball year long. They think of Baylor and you just think of the same team that we've been talking about for 3-4 years, where it's a defensive team. They're going to dominate the glass. Baylor's the opposite. They're an offensive team this year. They really are. Defense has kind of been their weaker point this year. I'm going to go Creighton, but I'm not in love with it. I could very easily be talked into Baylor, and this could be one of those games where if I'm looking at my bracket tonight before I fall asleep, I might swap them.
Going to be a great game. What do you think, Donnie?
I think looking at this matchup, I just lean Baylor from the recency bias. I think, they've had some success, just in regular season and tournament play the last couple of years. I just think experience and talent, I think I lean Baylor a little bit in both those categories.
All right, we're going to send Baylor through. Are we going to send Arizona and Utah State through?
Yeah, Utah State they don't really have the defense to make Arizona uncomfortable. I think Arizona's just going to handle them fine.
So what are we doing here? Are we just going to go with Bama? Because I'm just leaning towards Bama to the Final Four automatically. That's what I've done in every bracket so far.
That's what I've done too, man. It's
hard not to. I mean, if you watch,
I was saying
it's hard to pick them not in the Final Four.
I have San Diego State in my bracket here. I do. The big thing with San Diego State is if you want to beat Bama, what does Bama have to do? They have to go cold from three, and you have to force them into turnovers. That's been the Nate Oates kind of way to beat Nate Oates. That's been the Bama's downfall for the past few years since he's been there. And what does San Diego State do? They have an incredible perimeter defense. They force a lot of turnovers with their defense. They'll get some boards too. Bama, probably best team in the tournament, best team in the country. That's completely fair. I get it. I think everyone's picking Bama this year. I don't think we've seen a higher percentage pick for the champion in a few years. I think Bama's at like 31% right now. Our brackets have them winning.
Crazy.
Final Four's probably
They're
got
not
to
my
be right
champion.
north
I will
of
say
50.
that.
And the only thing I've heard since these brackets have come out is that Bama's got to walk to the Final Four. Bama's got to walk to the Final Four. Bama's got to walk. And usually when that's the case, when the entire world's just on this team has a walk, they slip up somewhere. Bama also, too, and this is the biggest thing, they've had off the court distractions and issues for a while now. And we saw right after it happened, they struggled in a couple games. Yeah, they played fantastic in the SEC tournament, and they dominated
at this point.
But it only takes one game, and I'm looking at a team that has kind of the formula to beat Bama. San Diego State is that type of team just because of the style they play and the fact that we could see Bama have that 20-plus turnover game. We could see Bama go cold from three because San Diego State has that good of perimeter defense. That's how you beat Bama. But I will also say, too, if Bama gets to the Final Four, will I be shocked? Absolutely not.
Yeah. See, I've been with you the whole way. Like this, I think right when the controversy happened with Bama and, guys on the team involved, the way Nate Oates handled it, I was like, all these people who are on Bama are about to have a sad awakening when this starts hurting a college locker room, because off-court stuff tends to affect college locker rooms a lot more than it does in pro sports. And you guys just mentioned it. They played unbelievable in their own tournament. They dominated. They ran teams out of the gym. And just seeing that and seeing how lightly affected, I guess, they've been from this. Yeah. Steve, you mentioned, they had a few blips and a few bad showings when it first happened. But overall, they've still been just as dominant since it went down. So unless any new news comes out or any, more botched pressers from Nate Oates or Brandon Miller gets some sort of, I don't even know, punishment or some sort of story back in the news, I think they're well.
I think he's pretty much in the clear now at this point. I think he's pretty much been exonerated.
You would hope, right? If they're allowing him to.
At this point, it is. It's just there's still just so much chatter because I think he's pretty much good now, and that's part of it. But it is still an organizational or institutional failure at the thing go. I think I gotta go with Bama. I'm sorry, Steve.
I'm good with it. No, I'm just giving my reason, and you know how I am too. I love to zig when everyone zags. You got to be a little different if you want to win. But Bama is the best team in the tournament, and I also think too Bama has the easiest region, so I don't hate that at all.
They are not winning this championship though. I can promise that. Spoiler alert, because I have not had them win any of the title games, and I think it comes down to all that stuff coming back around at some point. Or they could lose this Elite Eight game. How do you feel about Baylor or Arizona in this matchup specifically before taking on Bama?
I like Arizona just for the thing. Baylor just doesn't really have as much size as Arizona this year, and Baylor also just isn't that typical defensive team that they usually are. Baylor likes to shoot a lot of threes. Who also likes to shoot a lot of threes? Arizona. And Arizona, if you talk about just strictly offense, you can make the argument they're the best offensive team in the country, which is kind of wild that we're saying that because this is a team that lost Ben Mathurin and Koloko to the draft last year, and it feels like they've gotten better, but that's just kind of the case with college basketball. Guys just mature who have stayed there for a couple years. I like Arizona here. Baylor also too. If I look at, I always like when I'm picking teams to get to the Elite Eight, Final Four, however far you want to go. I like to look at previous matchups and road. Arizona's road compared to Baylor's is so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. I will say about this region, people, whatever they want to say about this. If you look at KenPom for this region, I mean, Bama's 2, and then you have in the top 15. Baylor, San Diego State, Creighton, and Arizona are all in that top 15 in KenPom.
Yeah.
But everyone says Bama's got a cakewalk.
Yeah, there's no way. And West Virginia is 17, Utah State 19. It's Maryland 21. They are loaded up kind of in this region.
That is kind of
what they're
going
to be dealing with, at least in KenPom. And who knows? But I do think that I kind of want to pick Arizona here over Alabama, though, for everything we just talked about last time. Is that I don't want Alabama. I've really tried to kick them out in the Final Four or this Elite Eight matchup in all my brackets, and I think that eventually, I don't think this is a team destined for a national championship. That's what it comes down to. So I'd rather get them out sooner than later.
I get that. I think it'd be a great game if it's Arizona, Alabama. I think Arizona's one of the few teams that could just run with a track meet with Alabama. We could see it depends if the teams want to play that way, but this is a game where we could see both teams in the 90s at the end of just not even an overtime. It's just at the end of the game. My big thing is I don't want to fade Alabama necessarily, but when 30% plus of the country has them winning, I think over 50 has them
I think Elite Eight is okay when we can jump off at that point.
But I don't hate them in the Final Four either, because I think this if we got an Arizona-Alabama game, Alabama would be a slight favorite, and I think it's two teams that play a very similar style. Alabama much better defensively than Arizona, I will say that. So maybe that's where I lean Bama there, but I could it's just which team gets hot shooting wise if these two go up against the other. Yeah. They're just so talented offensively, both of them. They can beat you in the paint and beyond the arc.
Dunny, what do you
Dunny, I'll let you choose. Yep. Dunny, be the tiebreaker. You know what? Jake says Arizona. I'll go Alabama because I want Dunny to pick our first.
Damn. Oh, this is so much pressure. But I have to do it, man. I think it's Bama. I think if these teams match up, I don't think there's anyone on Arizona that can check Brandon Miller. And like you said, Steve, I think Bama's clears in the defensive battle there.
All right, so let's power through the East here. We got Purdue going. Memphis.
Shout out FDU for beating Texas.
Shout out FDU.
That was 14-20, winning the SWAC. So shout out FDU.
Fucking crazy. I've turned around. Here's the thing, and what we need to consider is that a 7 seed or higher has made the last 5 Final Fours or 6 Final Fours, something crazy, or Elite Eight, something like that. I read the stat the other day. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you want to follow by that logic, but it is something to keep in mind as we move through this bracket that it has happened very recently, almost every year. One of my favorite candidates is Memphis for this. I know, Stevie, I like FAU here too. This is a really tough matchup for me. So I want to hear from you guys on what you guys have been leaning, because I don't know. I've picked both of them. I love Memphis. Okay. I love Memphis. I do. And I want them to beat Purdue really badly. That would be a very fun game for me to watch.
They're both very good teams. They're both very good teams. Memphis obviously everyone's talking about Memphis because they kind of blew out Houston, even though Houston lost Sasser. He wasn't playing in that game. They kind of blew out Houston. They looked great doing it. I'll tell you what, I'm not sleeping on the Owls. I'm not sleeping on the Owls. This is a team that everyone is into it. They're not the biggest team in the world. They're not the biggest team, but this is a team that has a very balanced offensive attack. I really like FAU. They've been great all year. I'm fine with either pick here. If you guys want Memphis, that's fine. I'll tell you what, neither of these teams has beaten Purdue, but we'll get to there when we get to there.
We can pick Purdue.
This is a coin flip game for me. This is a coin flip game. I'm fine with Memphis.
All right,
31-3 is wild.
31-3 is impressive.
And it's a different 31-3 than Charleston. Let me say that. FAU is a much better team than Charleston. They're both 30-plus win teams. FAU's a much better team than Charleston.
All right, I'll take that. Duke, we're all good with Duke. I know that we're not like.
I don't want to talk about this game. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
Tennessee, I've been picking against Tennessee a lot, but 5th in KenPom. They are ripe for this. Rick Barnes is always ripe for this. I really want to pick Louisiana. I think that we should, but I'll listen to the arguments because I love Tennessee every year too. You know that they're my darling that I fall in love with every year.
Real quick, before we get to Tennessee, I just want to shout out Oral Roberts from 2 years ago, putting us on the map when we had Oral Roberts in the Sweet 16. We love Oral Roberts. I'll always be in debt to them. Tough matchup against Duke. That's all I'll say there. I don't want to talk about who I picked in that game. Tennessee, Louisiana. I'm laying the points with Tennessee. I'm laying alternate spreads with Tennessee because everyone's off Tennessee. Tennessee's probably the best defensive team in the entire country, and Louisiana struggles to have consistent offense. And not just talking about the metrics, because I think KenPom has a pretty good offense, and they're an okay shooting team, but they struggle to get good, consistent possessions. Good looks consistently is what I'm saying. And Tennessee is going to eat that up. This feels like if it was in the regular
48 offense, so it's not great, but not
and
bad.
I'm saying the metrics I think are defense, better. Though. I think the metrics are better than the eye test. Mm-hmm. So what I would say here with Tennessee is that if this was an early season game, before conference games started, I would look at this box score the next day and Tennessee would win like 75-40. I just don't feel like Louisiana's not scoring a lot on Tennessee. This is a great matchup for them. So I'm going to take the Volunteers here.
All right.
Tennessee has two. Yeah, I'm good with that. Tennessee has two guards that average. One averages 2 steals a game and the other averages 1.8 steals a game. I mean, just again, talking about the experienced guards in the tournament, but it's also this time it's on the other end. 2 guards that can lock up like that.
Yeah.
Their starting 5 across the board is 3 guys average 10 points, 1 guy averages 13, and then their forward averages 9 points. Like it's just well-balanced team that plays defense. I think they got to advance here.
Are we taking our Wildcats?
I think we got to
go
Kentucky.
back.
It scares me because Providence can beat anyone and lose to anyone, and that's been Providence's staple for 5 years. But I'm taking Kentucky. I'm not picking against Kentucky, especially after losing last year. Right?
That's what I mean. This is more of just like this is literally just like a fuck the world pick more than anything else. Like we are going back with Kentucky, and they're going to win.
Yes, I'm right there with you.
I've been thinking, Dunny. Go ahead, Dunny. Sorry.
Well, what were you gonna say?
Because you were talking about Princeton and your Arizona and not knowing why you want to pick a team. That's Montana State for me with Kansas State. Every time I look at this bracket, I want to pick Montana State. There's no reason that we should pick Montana State at all. But every time I look at it, I'm like, why? Look at 666. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know. Bad for who? For Kansas State or for Montana State? We'll never know.
Just fade the Big Sky. Just fade the Big Sky in the tournament. The Big Sky every year. If I'm on the Big Sky, if I'm off them, the Big Sky never even puts up a fight. I think Montana did one year. I'm just faded. I don't even love this Kansas State team. I think they're really overseeded. But
they are. Oh my God. I was so shocked to see them as a 3.
I'm fading the Big Sky.
It's crazy. Izzo is March. March is Izzo.
Yep.
Okay.
He's Mr. March until the next round.
And I'm good with Michigan State. I'm good with that. And Marquette over Vermont. Vermont is the class of America East. Right. It's the Vermont Invitational, but they're not as good as they've been in previous
Vermont
years.
Invitational.
It is, but they're not as good as they've been in previous years.
We really have to pick Purdue, Steve.
I mean, it's 2 against 1 if you want to gang up on me, but I'll tell you right now.
You sounded so sure, though. You sounded so sure.
Close your eyes, Jake. Close your eyes, all right? We're going to go blind resume here. This team is top 20 in adjusted offense and adjusted defense.
I know. No. It's still Matt Painter and
I'm not done. That's what I'm saying. This is unnamed team 1. This isn't Purdue we're talking about. Top 20 in offense and in defense, adjusted offense and defense. Undefeated out of conference. Okay? They won their conference. Who did they play? Dude, Donnie. I know. Who did they play? They beat Gonzaga by 18, Duke by 19, and they beat Marquette out of conference. All right. This team has only lost 5 games all year, and they won their conference tournament. They also have the player of the year who happens to be 7'4" and is a mismatch for pretty much anyone. Now, who's that unnamed team? It's Purdue. Everyone sees Purdue and wants to be disgusted. They're like, oh, Purdue, they're going to choke. This is a great Purdue team, and this is a Purdue team that's proven themselves all year. Probably been the most consistent team all year. They had a little bit of a in the
Steve, they almost did choke. They tried to choke against Penn State.
But did they choke? But
that is a team that's already playing with fire, and we're not even to the tournament yet.
You're acting like none of these other teams have been playing with fire.
Oh, no, I agree. But this team has done this every year. I picked Purdue so many times with Matt Painter. Why should I trust this guy? It's not the players. Why should I trust this man?
I'm well aware. And that's why.
And he's going to be wearing a white suit. He's going to be looking confident as fuck. He played in the NBA. I trust him much more than I trust Matt Painter.
But here's the thing. For the people who only watch college basketball one weekend of the year before the NCAA tournament starts, all you saw was good things from Memphis, right? That's all everyone wants to talk about. Memphis, sleeper team, Memphis. Everywhere I'm seeing Memphis is going to win second round.
I'm always high on Memphis just because I know the talent level, no matter what they look like every year, the talent level is so high because you can just recruit to Memphis like nothing.
I completely agree.
Penny has that pull.
And Penny, especially now, yeah.
I think Memphis is a great team, and I think they can play great against great teams. But I'm not disrespecting Purdue this year. I can't I'm telling you, if you just take their name off and just go unnamed team, I can't disrespect them.
Last point in Steve and Purdue's favor here. The tallest guys that get run on Memphis are 6'9". That's where they max out.
When I thought you were going to tell me to close my eyes, that's what I thought Steve was going to say is just imagine
just going to hit you with Zach Edey's height
towering over every Memphis player, because that is definitely what's going to happen that whole game. He's going to have like 27 and 15 or something. It's going to be disgusting. It's an affront to basketball is what Purdue is. Duke, Tennessee. What do we got?
I'm taking Duke.
Whoo!
Gunny,
what do you got?
I don't like Tennessee.
I'm with Duke too here.
All right, let's ride. Let's just ride with Duke. That's fine because I don't trust Tennessee. And
Tennessee doesn't
Duke will get all the
talent
calls.
Duke does. Tennessee's got great defense. Duke can't really shoot too well, but I think Duke's going to be able to get the ball at least inside. And this could be a really low score.
Let's look at this, guys. Guys, look at this. CBS could get Duke Purdue at Madison Square Garden. That's going to happen. That game's going to happen
for CBS right there.
Kentucky, Kansas State. Can we ride with Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Sure.
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
All
right.
And Marquette. And I'm with Marquette too here. I think Marquette.
I love Marquette. Marquette has a coach now. Shaka Smart.
These 2 games in the Garden for a Sweet 16 is chef's kiss.
Oscar Tshiebwe quickly became one of my favorite college basketball players. And then Jacob Toppin, brother of Obi Toppin's on this squad too. Yes. I want Coach Cal to turn it around, man. It's college basketball is better when Kentucky's good. And for some reason, like a month and a half ago, I fell in love with this Kentucky group, bro. And I was going to say this because I thought you guys were going to give me some pushback when we went over the Providence game, but you guys elected to push them through. So I waited, bro. Let's just say I have a bracket with Kentucky winning it all.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here's what I think. Here's what
That's a little bold.
but I'm looking at this 4, and this is why I brought this up around this time. Is those 7 seeds and lower? They're not a 7, they're a 6. But this is a chance that we can pick a low seed to go through compared to the rest of the bracket.
I'm gonna let Donnie be the tiebreaker. You're on Duke. I'm on Purdue. Donnie, be the tiebreaker. Who do you got?
Oh no, I think Purdue beats Duke. I think Purdue beats Duke.
I'm on Purdue as well. I think Purdue's better than Duke.
All right, I'm there.
Then we're picking Kentucky. I think we should just pick Kentucky. I think we should go back with Kentucky.
I mean, it doesn't matter what Steve says.
Go.
We got 2.
We're picking.
Usually I've been picking Marquette too.
Kentucky.
I love.
I actually don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Who's your actual pick though? Mine is Marquette. I
have one versus 2 in my actual bracket right now. Okay. Purdue Marquette.
I have Memphis versus Marquette in most of my brackets.
I knew Jake would hate me. All right, pick Kentucky over Purdue. I know it's 2-1. Just pick Kentucky over Purdue.
We did it. It's already there. We got Alabama, Kentucky, Final Four. That's amazing.
I didn't think you were going to be on that too, Jake. Let's go.
Houston is going to move through. Iowa.
Can I say one thing about Houston, North Kentucky? If Sasser doesn't play, this is like a 45-40 game, and
Dude,
North Kentucky.
So gross. North
Kentucky plays like the same snail pace, grinding defense, dominate the boards. If Sasser doesn't play, I think it's actually close. But
really,
yes, I do.
This North.
I will take if Sasser's confirmed out. I'll take the points with North Kentucky. I really will. Wow. And I usually hate taking big underdogs against Houston because Houston's defense just swarms you, runs you out of the gym. But North Kentucky is basically like that version of Houston mid-major team. But if Sasser plays, Houston's winning. Houston's winning either way, but I think it's close if Sasser's confirmed out. I think he plays.
I think he plays too.
That's all.
I saw the other day he was probable. Probably wants to be out there.
Too. Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Iowa, Auburn. I got nothing here, guys. So
Iowa's hot right now. Auburn's kind of cold. Iowa's a high-scoring shooting team. Auburn is. I mean, they're
Iowa's going to be pissed too. That's the only thing I can think of. They're going to be pissed.
It's going to be an Auburn-dominated gym, which scares me a little bit because they'll be close to home. It won't be too dominated because there's a bunch of teams playing there.
How did they do that to Iowa? As a higher seed, they put them in Alabama against Auburn. That's
Birmingham. I know. I'm still taking Iowa, though. Iowa's fun. Iowa's burns me every year, but they're fun. They just score a lot of points. I'll take Iowa.
I feel bad for Iowa. What do you got?
I'll go Iowa.
All right, let's roll with the Hawkeyes going into enemy territory. Miami or Drake?
These next 2 games. I've been back and forth on both of them 100 times.
We're not even talking about the next one. I'm not
because
I know.
But we have to talk about them a little bit. I will say, and you might call me crazy, but I will say from these 2 games right here, Miami, Drake, Indiana, Kent State, I think the winner of any of these 4 teams could get to the Elite Eight. I really do. If you get to the Elite Eight in this region, you might be smelling a Final Four. I love all 4 of these teams. I'm going Drake over Miami. Miami has an injury. Drake's one of the most balanced teams in the country. Great shooting team, good size. I'll take Drake.
I'm there too.
And then we're gonna take Kent State because it's happy hour hoops. Jake's not gonna let us have Kent State out. All I'll say is Indiana.
Oh, I'm horrified.
And he admitted to this. Indiana's a really, really tough 4 seed to go up against. They're probably gonna get 10 extra possessions against Kent State with the rebounding alone. But Kent State's got the veteran guards. They force a lot of turnovers. I like Kent State a lot. They were probably one of my favorite mid-majors all year, so I can't just pick against them. But I will say Indiana, man, I love Indiana too. I think Indiana's such a good team.
Steve, this is why this hurts me so bad is because Indiana is like, I'd probably have Indiana in the Final Four if it wasn't for anything. I loved Indiana all year. I've watched so much Indiana and been like, this team is so much fun. The Big Ten, I've watched a lot of Big Ten, obviously. I watch a lot of Big Ten football and basketball mostly. And I watch most Indiana games just be like, this team is just fun. Like, I enjoy watching them. I enjoy Trace Jackson Davis. He's awesome. I hope he has a long NBA career as like a scorer off the bench or whatever he can actually do. That being said, this Kent State team has like every good narrative that I would ever want for like a team going into the tournament. Coming off of last season, the Akron thing, losing the MAC title, the whole redemption story coming this way, the whole Indiana Kent State connection that there is with the fact that Kent lost to them in the Elite Eight 2002. You know, that same season, Kent beat them in the regular season too. A rematch
really?
in the Elite Eight. And after Kent had upset them. So there's already like this crazy connection. Rob Senderoff, the Kent head coach, was a Indiana assistant, a grad assistant and an Indiana assistant before going to Kent. And he played basketball at the University of Albany, which is where this game will be taking place. There's a lot of things going in Kent's favor, like universally, which is why I feel somewhat confident. This game's going to be close no matter what, though. That is what I can say. Like, Indiana could very well pull out this game late and win this game because if Kent's weakness is that you can kind of Sincere Carey is awesome. He is going to get on a lot of people's radar in this game, I think, because he'll probably have like 26 points, 8 assists and 6 rebounds, and just like the way he moves with the ball and like the things that he can do with the ball and the way he can get to the rim. He reminds me of let me know if this rings right with you. He's not as big as this guy, but he's like Shea. He just goes at his own pace.
Yeah.
He literally he just gets the ball. It could be out of the flow of the offense, and he will just go herky jerky and just find his way to the rim and throw up some random finger roll that has like some crazy English on it, and it goes in, and you're like, okay, like that's what Sincere's gonna do. They just have, and they're just a great defensive team.
He's explosive too. He's so explosive.
He is, and they can all shoot. Their whole team can shoot. They don't have a big. That's their thing. There's no big,
and that's what scares me because I think Indiana probably gets 10 plus extra rebounds on them. But I will agree. Like if you're talking about a team that has fit the criteria for a mid-major type Cinderella team, it's Kent State. They tested themselves out of conference and they played well. Yeah, they lost the games, but they played Houston. They probably played Houston toughest in Houston of any team this year. They played Gonzaga.
Lost by Houston 49, Stevie, 49 to 44. That game was.
That's what I'm saying, and nobody does that with Houston in Houston. True road game against Gonzaga. The kind of opposite style of the game. They played them tough. Like you said, they got veteran guards. They got veteran leaders. They have players who could take the game over, and they force a lot of turnovers, and it's a good shooting team. I mean, I love Indiana. I've been big on Indiana all year.
Charleston, like we mentioned too, lost to Charleston by 2. Yeah. And they beat Northern Kentucky, another team in the tournament. The first game of the season at Northern Kentucky handily beat them.
Yes.
They have everything. Indiana's just awesome, and and they're very smart. The tournament and CBS is very smart for making that the Friday night late game as like the main event because I think it's going to be one of the top 3 games. No matter what. It's going to be a close game no matter what. It's going to be a 3-point game no matter what.
Props to the scheduling committee for this, having Drake Miami and Indiana Kent State, even though they're on the East in Albany as a late night game, a 7:30, probably going to be more closer to like a 7:40 tip, and that second game probably won't even
10:30,
10:15. That is the best Friday night
it's so crazy. I'm so mad. I'm so sad that I have to wait. Literally, I have to watch every tournament game until Kent.
Every game, and then it's Kent State, Indiana, baby. That's how you want it, Jake.
It's gonna be nuts. What are you gonna say, Dunny?
No, I was just gonna say that's. I didn't know that was the times for those games. That's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it's 9:55.
What a Friday night this will be.
Yeah, that's going to be a great night. Iowa State, Pittsburgh. Let's keep moving on here. I don't know what to do with this either. Pitt had a crazy ass game last night against Mississippi State.
I'll go Pitt. I don't like Iowa State. I think they're overseeded. So by default, I'll take Pitt, but I don't have a strong one way or another here.
All right, let's go Pitt. Let's go Xavier. Power through them.
I will say the only thing I'll say about Iowa State, I think they've only won 5 of their last 15. I think they're 5-10 of their last 15. Those teams I usually like to fade coming in the tournament.
Yeah,
Xavier over Kennesaw. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, Xavier. Dunny, who you got? A&M and Penn State. Penn State made a nice little run there. Obviously, both teams.
Both teams made a nice run.
The tournament.
I got Texas A&M here, man.
You just want Texas and A&M, don't you? You sicko. You want to see the blood.
I have Penn State, but I'll go with A&M.
I think that's a toss-up game. It's going to be an awesome game.
I think so too.
But I will like this. I do like the storyline of A&M Texas. I got Houston. I love Houston. Loved them all year. Do you guys think Iowa has a chance? Either of you?
I think they definitely have a chance because they're a type of team that can get so hot shooting wise that they you saw some of the comebacks they had this year. When their team's hot, they can put up 50, 60 points in a half. I'll take Iowa. I'll take Iowa as a chance to have an upset to the point where I might convince myself to take it. I'm definitely gonna take them with the spread
I'm gonna bet
if
them.
this
Yeah.
game goes. Yeah, but Houston's number one in pretty much every ranking you look at, every metric. Houston's been number one. Do they deserve it? We'll see. I want to see Sasser how he plays. I don't even know if he'll play much if he does play in the 116, but I think Iowa definitely has a real upset alert on Houston. But I'm fine with going Houston.
Yeah, I lean Houston here.
All right, let's roll with that. All right, is this where you break my heart? You having Drake beat Kent State? Because that would be. If they win, I'm gonna be like, oh, we're going to the Final Four. Like,
I know.
That's wrong.
I do
This
have
game is
Drake
gonna be
here.
a war. This game will be a war.
And this is what I hate. And I don't want to rant about the selection committee and how they make the bracket. I don't want to rant, but these are probably the two best mid majors of the 12, 13 seed. Why are they playing in the round two? These are both teams that I had before the bracket came out of the mid majors, double digit potential seeds. That I was like, I think could go Sweet 16 and deeper.
Yeah.
Kent State and Drake were on the short list because I don't think it's a long list this year. And they're playing in round two.
And that's why they did it. You want to know why? That's why they did it.
We can go Kent State.
That's why they did it, because they want one of those teams to beat the shit out of each other and play Houston.
They're both so much fun, though. They're both such fun teams. I take Kent State.
Yeah, we got to send them through. If I get another extra week at Kent State basketball, I don't even know. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. Pittsburgh, Xavier. I think I got to roll with Xavier. I've loved this team all year, even though they've been crazy up and.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dunny?
I like Xavier there.
Good with Xavier.
Let's roll. X gonna give it to you.
All right, Texas. I got Texas.
Texas, bro.
I got
Texas.
All right, we can kick Ken out here too. That's the Cinderella.
No revenge game.
Seen enough.
Oh no! Listen,
revenge game.
I will be betting if this happens. Of course, I'm going to say Ken's going to win the game, but for the sake of our bracket, we don't need to do that. Xavier, Texas.
I really wanted to be a tiebreaker and just have Kent State in the Elite Eight. I was really hoping Jake was going to keep the bias so I could just throw Kent State in the Elite
I can't. I think rematch. I think Houston wins by 20 probably in a rematch.
Xavier,
what do you think
Texas.
Here, though, guys? What do you think, Donnie? You seem to love Texas right now. You sounded very confident about your Texas picks.
I'm rolling Texas here, bro.
Yeah, I think if you look at Texas, what's the biggest concern? It's that they have an interim head coach, but they've been playing well since they have it.
They've been playing better, I feel like.
Texas checks every single box.
Yeah.
You look at a team with elite guard play, veteran guard play, Texas has it. They have a player who can take over. They are a great rebounding team, and they are a very good defensive
team.
Steve. I love Texas.
Great rebounding team.
Glad you said that. Marcus Carr is my second favorite player in college basketball. I fell in love with him last year.
Yes.
The experienced guard. He's a senior. He can score for them, and he averages just under 2 steals a game, bro. I don't know why. Every time I watch Texas and I see Marcus Carr playing, I'm like, he's like the epitome of college basketball, in my opinion.
I agree.
He plays hard. He's experienced. He doesn't turn the ball over much. He D's up. For some reason, they don't go to him throughout the game a lot, but he always seems to be hitting the big shots for them. And then between I don't know. I don't think Christian Bishop isn't that great of a player, but I think when he has a dunk for Texas, I was watching Texas, I think last Saturday in the tournament, and just Bishop had back-to-back dunks in transition. I think it was against TCU, if I'm not mistaken, but whatever game it was,
Friday or Saturday.
he just seemed to get the crowd fired up. I don't know. It's something about Kentucky and Texas this year, man. I love both these squads.
I do really like this Texas team. I think
So we
Nate's
going
really
with Texas
good.
over Houston?
I kind of like Texas over Houston.
I like it too.
I really like Texas this year. I think Dunny brought up a lot of good points. Texas just checks all the boxes for me of teams that can make potentially deep runs. So I'll go with Texas.
It's going to be a crazy winner of this gets to go and going to be an all Houston crowd, or if it's Texas. I mean, we know what Texas's fan base looks like, so that will be a very fun atmosphere. Who are they going to play? We're going to take Kansas. Howard, love you there, but Arkansas, Illinois. I love the Illini. They are also a team that in the Big Ten, don't know if the Big Ten's good or not, but Illinois is a team that can be very, very good on any given night and be one of the worst teams in the country on every given night. I'm going with Illinois, but if you guys are with Arkansas, I'm okay with the Arkansas-Kansas matchup.
It doesn't matter to me because neither team's beating Kansas, so Dunny, pick who you like.
All right, let's get Kansas over there.
Pick who you like, Dunny.
I like that's just a hilarious visual.
Kansas over TPD.
That's what I was doing with my bracket with Texas last night, bro. Just advancing until I figured out the other ways. I mean, throw in the must bust just for shits and gigs, but they're losing to Kansas.
Right, I'm fading my home state. I like it. Let's go St. Mary's VCU. I like St. Mary's. Why is this again? Why are these two teams playing each other too? This is another thing. Like, why are these are two of my favorite mid majors? They should not be playing each other in the tournament. I don't care that St. Mary's is a 5. They should not be playing each other.
VCU seems a very popular upset pick, and I'm actually gonna go with it. I usually don't like taking these popular upset picks, but I am gonna take VCU. St. Mary's just has not looked that good.
Well, they've been weird.
And what scares me about St. Mary's has no clue how to beat a press. And I think VCU has that type of team where if they want to press St. Mary's, they will. I'll take VCU here. It's a strong defensive team, but they're also pretty good offensively. St. Mary's, I don't know. I just like I
will say St. Mary's 11th in KenPom and VCU like 78th or something.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy how high St. Mary's is in KenPom, but it's one of those eye test things. When I watch the games, and I know St. Mary's, I mean Gonzaga obviously is the exception, but they've kind of played similar competition. You look at West Coast compared to VCU. I'll go VCU. They just look better the past.
VCU was impressive against Dayton too. I thought the Flyers were going to run away with that.
That was a good. I thought Dayton was going to win that game too. But all right, but can we put UConn in the Sweet 16 like we did with Kansas because they're going to beat whoever was in that game? I think.
Oh, I love UConn. Patino's got one foot out the door, and Ione's thinking about the St. John's money, so they're not showing up for that game. I hate that people are picking that as an upset. UConn, talk about a team that's better than their seed. I know they're a 4 seed.
KenPom.
UConn has been a top 10, top 5 team according to the metrics all year long, and they've looked like that too. It's translated on the court. I love UConn.
UConn is one of my this Kansas UConn game is very tough. TCU versus the winner of the game going on
Arizona
right
State. Arizona State's up 27 at halftime. Nevada should have never. The fact that Nevada got in the tournament and Rutgers, and you can argue Oklahoma State did not get in, made absolutely no sense. Nevada shouldn't even been close to the tournament. Arizona State, they're blowing Nevada out of the water. I like Arizona State a lot. I think they're a good team, but TCU got Mike Miles back. He's one of the better players. I think he makes a big difference. I think they win.
Dunny, you got TCU?
I got TCU, man.
We got Gonzaga and UCLA, I'm sure. Northwestern, Boise State. I've got Northwestern just because I want to see more boo-booey and just hear them get talked about. So.
I have Boise State just because I haven't bought into this Northwestern team, and I kind of like Boise State. I think they were a second half collapse away.
This game's going to be gross. This is a horrible game. Like I watch that game.
I like Boise State. I think Boise State's better than a 10 seed, but it's a Mountain West team. So if you want to go Northwestern, I'm fine with it.
I think I have to pick I have to pick the Chicago team at least. I think I have to do it spiritually, but we could pick UCLA.
Yes, I will say one thing. I will say one thing. I think UNC Asheville's a very, very good 15 seed. They are a
Oh,
very, very good offensive team, and UCLA struggles shooting threes, outside shots. They're dealing with a couple injuries too. If they get behind early, this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. However, I'm not calling a shot here. I'll take UCLA.
Zags over
But
TCU.
I think it'll be closer than most people expect.
This one's tough for me.
I love TCU's like athleticism and everything, but I just feel like Gonzaga is just gonna like by the end, like it's gonna be close, and then Gonzaga by the end is just gonna they're just gonna execute too well.
I feel like we're gonna have one Drew Timmy shining moment in this tournament, and this seems like the game it would be.
Yeah, I think everyone wants the Gonzaga UCLA rematch.
I
College
really do.
Basketball fans do,
Yes.
even though it's kind of different teams now. Everyone wants to see it. And B, everyone's kind of sleeping on Gonzaga this year, including myself. I wasn't really too high on Gonzaga. They're playing their best basketball at the moment. They've been playing really good basketball. I think their last 9, I want to say they've won their last 9, but it's not that they're winning anymore. They're starting to win by 15, 20 a game. That looks like those older Gonzaga teams. I think Gonzaga's
87
peaking at the right time. And this is the first time in a while where Gonzaga's getting hot at the right time. Usually they kind of flatten out, and that's why they don't make it all the way. I like Gonzaga. I'll take Gonzaga. Plus, they beat Dunny's national champion Kentucky by 16 earlier this year.
What do we got here?
All right,
Gonzaga, UCLA. I think I got to go Gonzaga here too. I don't know what's good with the injuries with UCLA. Is this a worried? Should I be worried enough to not pick them against Gonzaga here?
Dude,
because otherwise I love UCLA. But
I was at the same struggle making my other brackets.
I feel like they're too much at that point. That's a team that is too much against.
The big one's Jalen Clark. Jalen Clark's not playing. They have a couple other. I think a couple of them did not major. I think, and this is crazy because I like UCLA, but UCLA doesn't shoot the ball as well as previous UCLA teams, and UCLA doesn't really have that true big that I think is going to match up with Timmy. I think Timmy, like I said this about Timmy, I've said it about him for 3 years. When Timmy faces that big that can match up against him, he struggles. But I don't think that's really going to be the case against UCLA.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So I like Gonzaga. I do like Gonzaga.
I've been picking once I heard there was a guard injured for UCLA. That's all I really needed. Like I just think that's a team that will exploit that in a Sweet 16 matchup. That's a tough draw for them to get Gonzaga there. Dunny, what do you think? You go with that, Gonzaga?
You're muted, Dunny, by the way.
My apologies. I'm good with that, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Zags.
Kansas, UConn. I'm kind of with UConn.
Really?
I like UConn. I do. I will say this, though. I very well could see a situation like last year where instead of Abaji, Jalen Wilson just takes over games. He's so good. He's so good. And Kansas just kind of rolls like they did last year. I do like UConn, though. I think UConn's really, really good team. I will you know what? Since Jake went UConn, I'll go Kansas. Dunny, go ahead. I'll make Danny choose again. That is fun for me.
I know you guys have been making me do this a lot. My biggest thing is is Bill Self supposed to be back with the team?
He should be. But
especially if they make it this far, you think he would be at that point, right?
Yeah.
So I think just in that alone, I mean, I call me crazy. I think that matters a lot, especially this deep in the tournament.
Definitely.
I'm going Kansas if Bill Self's there.
Kansas, Gonzaga, then who we got?
The biggest concern in Kansas is after Jalen Wilson, they don't really have that second guy. Grady Dick's okay,
but they've been awesome all year, regardless of that.
They have. And Kansas, I mean, that's what Kansas is. Kansas has been awesome for pretty much the past 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm taking the Zags, though. I'm taking the Zags again. I'm surprised that I had them this far because I didn't think I'd have Zags in Final Four, but I just look at the matchups, and I like Gonzaga's matchups to the Final Four.
I like that there.
All right, well, I'm trying to this is not working the way I thought it would. There we go.
Zoom in a little bit.
Let's get our Final Four here. All right, we got Alabama and Kentucky on one side, Texas and Gonzaga on the other side. I think we got to put Bama in the championship with our Kentucky game here. I'm sorry, Dunny. This is where I think it would happen. But I'm willing to hear the arguments.
No, I've tried to. This is where I've come to, at least this side of the bracket. In all my brackets I've filled out, and I only was able to put Kentucky the winner of one, and that was just me having fun.
Kentucky played Bama once this year. They lost by 26. I just think Bama's a bad matchup for Kentucky. I'll go Bama.
I'm riding Texas the whole way through. I think that's what I've done in a lot of my brackets. That's where I've ended up.
I don't hate it.
Who are you on then, Steve? We can finally get you here. We are on now.
I'm fine with
59.
Texas. You're just who am I on? Who do I have? I told you you'd be disgusted who I have cutting down the nets because he doesn't need to jump to reach the net. He's 7'4", dude.
Oh, dude.
My God, Steve.
Dude, college basketball as a whole lose like half of their fan base if Purdue won the Natty, dude.
Oh my God!
So I'm telling you right now, if all you did was take Purdue's name and change that name to Duke and change Duke names to Purdue, everyone's walking Purdue to the championship.
And you know what they would do? Coach K would choke in the Final Four is what would have happened.
Hey, not Coach K anymore. Jon Scheyer, baby. It's Jon Scheyer now.
I'm just saying.
Johnny clicked Texas. I mean, you know what? We made it this far. Take the long.
I'm not picking Bama. I'm not picking. I've never.
Bama.
Out of principle,
the whole world has Bama. I'm not letting the HHH Triple H bracket be Bama, the number one overall seed that 30% of the country has. Take Texas. You know what? Sure. Why not? I like this team. I like Texas.
I'm a Texas supporter as it is. Shout out Longhorns.
Happy hour
Hook 'em, baby. Hook 'em.
Bracket madness,
Hook 'em, baby.
Texas Longhorns.
I can't. It's not even Alabama. Anything going on with them? It's the football, and I've talked about this. I've heard Mark Titus is going to talk about this. Where he's talking about Ohio State a couple weeks ago. Like people will just hate them because that's Bama. Like Bama can't be good at football and basketball. Like I'm sorry. Fuck that.
Show them that they can.
I know they can. I know they can, but I personally, I will not be okay with that. I just refuse.
I'll tell you what, though. Despite everything that happened, this is pure UB bias. I'll be very happy if Nate Oates cuts down the nets. I will. I would. I'll be honest. I would.
You guys are loving your. I'm not cheering for Colorado this year because Sean Lewis is the offensive coordinator leaving Kent State.
Bro,
and you guys are like Nate Oates. Oh my gosh.
No. But he actually built Buffalo up. He took them to multiple tournaments.
What did Bobby do?
Give Bobby one tournament and he's out. One tournament and he's in Arizona State. He's like, I'll take you. We're going to lose and I'll take my paycheck in the desert. It's a completely different scenario.
That's a great place to live. I would rather. I forgive him for living in fantastic place more than going to Tuscaloosa. I'm okay with the man.
I don't disagree with that.
But I understand. I do understand. All right, sounds good. That's our bracket. We're about to get into the madness very soon here. I can't.
Wait, real quick.
Is here, folks.
Before we leave, what's your upset? Call an upset right now. Big upset.
Well, besides, I mean, my obvious one is I do have Kent State actually going to the Sweet 16. That's not. I'm going with Montana State. I don't know what it is. That's my gut is just telling me Montana State is going to beat Kansas State.
It's not crazy. Furman's probably my favorite upset. Furman over Virginia. However, like I said, just keep eyes on Asheville, UCLA. Just keep the eyes. Just watch it a little bit. Could be close.
This is Steve's Oral Roberts. He's hoping for UNC Asheville.
No, I'm not
but not Oral Roberts.
I know. I can't. I wish I could pick Oral Roberts. Why do they have to play Duke? It's so stupid.